he's not. I don't think might be having audio problems.
Okay. Should we wait, or shall I just?
Let's go ahead because I think Daniel can pick up pretty quickly when he comes in.
Okay, cool. So I guess Neil said he's already installed Rails, and I'm guessing Brent and Jacob are both good having installed Rails. Yeah?
Yeah. Good.
Cool. So I guess the best way would be to start, like Jacob said, I feel like doing one simple Ruby app is probably a good idea. So hopefully, Neil, are you familiar with the terminal and how to navigate your way around? Yeah. So I think go to a place on your terminal where you want to put this. It'll just be a simple test project. So I have a folder called projects and then a folder called web. So I keep everything there.
Nena, excuse me a second. Nena, any way to expand?
Yeah, I'm just making that bigger.
Great.
Is that better?
Yep, much better. Thank you.
Yeah. So, that should be easy to see what I'm doing. And then if you want to create a new Rails project, the commands are really, really simple. You literally type Rails new and then the name of your project. So I'll say test website. And then Rails will make a bunch of things, most of which you can just accept they're going to be fine. And then at the end, if you look at what it'll made a folder called using the name. So here it was test website, so it's made a test website for me. So if I go ahead and look in that folder, and then you can open that up in your text editor of choice. So for me, I use something called Atom, which is pretty cool. And it's not there. It's opened it up in Atom. So let me see if I can make Atom any bigger. No. I'm sorry if that's a bit small.
That's right. We can deal with by just increasing our view percentage.
Okay. I might be able to make it bigger. Maybe.
Nena, it's okay. We can adjust the view. We can adjust our own views.
Sure. Okay. So if you go ahead and look inside it, there are already a bunch of folders that are pre-made there, which can look a bit intimidating. I guess, where's the best place to start? I guess the best place is app, because you'll be spending most of your time in there. So if you look in app, you'll see a couple of folders which should seem fairly familiar. So you've got your views, your models, and your controllers, which they correspond to the different parts of the model view of the controller. So in your view controller, you put your view code. In your model controller, you put your model code. And controller, you put in your controller folder, you put the controller code. So then you have assets, which is inside that you should have images, JavaScripts, and style sheets, which is exactly what you keep there.
Excuse me, Nena. For the benefit of Neil, do we need to talk a little bit, Neil, about the reason we break down our application into these three sections, MVC, model, viewer, controller? Are you familiar with that architecture and the reason why that architecture is so important? Neil, do we need to do a quick?
Yeah, no, I get why you have to split it up. It's to make different modules to run together. So it's is it so that well, I kind of get it, but yeah.
Nena, can you just step back to the? Did we have a diagram that talked about model, view, controller, or Jacob? Do you want to?
I think I just drew that quickly.
Oh.
Neil, are you okay with model view controller, or do you need me to explain it? Because I can explain it if you want.
Not completely.
That's an important concept, and I think it's great the way Rails forces you to break your application down into those three components. I didn't realize it did that.
Yeah, it sort of expects a model view controller setup.
Yeah. I bet it'll make MVC will make a lot of sense once we have a working example to look at.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true.
Okay. Let's be sure to reinforce that architecture and why it's valuable after we've got everything set up.
Yeah, definitely. So the assets is where you put images, JavaScript, style sheets, and also if you're doing fonts, you might want to put fonts there. The rest of it we probably won't really look at for now, so you're kind of okay to ignore it. Then of the ones that are left, there are probably, I say, three more places where you actually need to be concerned about. So the first one, if you head into config and look at roots, there'll be like loads of commented out code. In Ruby, a hash is a comment. So if you want to have a comment, you can just put, this is a hash, this is a comment. And then that's code that just won't run, but it lets you like write whatever. So it has a ton of commented out code, which you can delete all of, basically. And that's the roots. How do I explain roots? So if you're building a HTML website, HTML looks for like a folder, and then it'll inside that folder it'll look for, like, you'll type in the file path at the top in your web browser. So if I did like www.youtube.com, then you type in like the folders that you want, and you progress like that. Rails doesn't really work like that because it has this massive, crazy kind of folder structure. So instead, it looks at the root page to tell it where to go. So you can think of the roots as almost like the contents page of a book. Like if you look at the front and you want to go to the chapter on like I don't know, animals, then you look at the front and say, oh, okay, I want to go to the chapter on animals, and tell you the page number. That's kind of what the roots page does. So it'll make more sense once you see it actually working. But I just wanted to give you an overview of where that is. The next one is if you go into DB, that's where everything that concerns your database is. Again, I'll explain more about that later. And then the last one is the gem file. So the gem file, Ruby has these things called gems, which are essentially like packages, which you can install into your website, and they can do things for you. So, for example, if you wanted to, like in ours, we're going to have to store some images, which isn't something like store some images in a database, which isn't something that Rails is necessarily used to. But you can add a gem that is used to storing images, and then it'll make storing images a lot easier. Or like if you wanted to do a lot of forms, you can install a gem that makes doing forms easier, and then it makes your life easier because someone's already done the part of the work for you. So again, there'll be a lot of comments. I tend to delete most of them because they're just not very useful. To have there.
Like the Meteor packages that you have.
Yeah, sort of like Meteor packages. If you've used Meteor before, they're essentially just there to make your life easier. So you'll see more being used. But if you want to install a gem, you type in gem like that, and then I can increase the font a bit. Yeah. You do gem and then the name of the gem. So I know there's a gem called Formtastic, which helps with forms. And then that's it. You can put a version number afterwards if you want, like they have done here, but you don't need to. And then if you head back into your terminal and you type the word bundle, then it'll install all of the gems that are inside the gem file. So it's just a nice place to keep. It's essentially a nice place to keep a list of instructions for your code, so that if anyone else decides to download this and work with it, rather than having to go through each of the gems individually and install them by hand, which they can do, they can just type in bundle and it installs everything from that list for them. So I think the best place would to go ahead and create just a really simple working website. So we could say that it could be like, it'll be like a blog, let's say that, with a bunch of posts. So the first thing you want to do is create a model or a database of posts. So in Rails, rather than talking directly to the database and writing SQL commands, we write these things called migrations. In fact, I'll just open a new page and so you can type it. So migrations, which communicate with the database. And your migrations will live in the DB folder. So if you want to create a migration, you go into your terminal and you type Rails G migration. G is short for generate, but you can just type G because if you're like me and you're lazy. And then you type a name for your migration. So we'll be a create post because it's a blog post, so it'll be post. But you can literally name them whatever. It's nice if you name them neatly, because then if you're looking back. And then if we look in our DB folder, there's a new folder called Migrate over here. And inside that folder, it says a huge string of numbers and then the words create post. The string of numbers is done by Rails automatically to make sure that there are no conflicts. So Rails has kind of looked at the name of this and said it's create post, so clearly I want to create a table of posts. But it might not, sometimes it might not do that for you and you have to figure out what you're writing on your own. But it's come up with this whole create post thing. And if you search in Google, Rails migration create table, there'll be some documentation somewhere which tells you how to do that. So here it says you create a table, and then it looks like if you can, to add different fields, you can do t dot the type of field and then the name of the field. So we could have t dot string title and then t dot text content. I think that's enough information for our blog post. So that's what we want the database to do. We want it to create a table of posts, each with a string of the title and some text, which is the content. So say we want to actually make that database. How do we do that? There are going to be a lot of words which make more sense. I'm really sorry about it's going to be a bit of an information overload. But you have things called rake tasks. And that's tasks that Rails runs. And I don't really know how to differentiate them from other tasks, but it's to run your database tasks. Those are rake tasks. So I'll put e.g. database tasks. And so this one is rake db migrate is the comment to run a migration. And so if I run rake db migrate, it said it's created a table called posts, and that took it that many seconds. So I have a program which can let me look at the database. You don't have to have this, but it's nice for demonstration purposes. So if I go ahead into our test website and I look at the database file, which is in here, development.sqlite3, you can see that we have a table called posts with 3 fields: the ID, which it does automatically, the title, and the content. So great, we have a database, but now we need to find a way of communicating with our database. Well, if you remember from the model view controller setup, the next layer is like the model. So we can create a model. So to do that, you can again use Rails G model post. So Rails generate a model called post, and then if we it's created various things. You don't actually need to look at all of them. You can look at the one that actually concerns you. So here we've got a model called post in the models folder, which is a child of something called active record base. It's not really that interesting what that actually means, but you should sort of know that it exists and is there. And if I get rid of that, it won't work. So that's sort of important, which is why we use the rake tasks. I mean, the Rails tasks to do this so that we don't forget to put that bit in. So now if I go ahead and you can communicate with the Rails app through the command line. So we can just look at the model. If I type post.new, you can see that we created a new post with ID nil, title nil, and content nil. We can use the command line to communicate with the database of it. So we can create one with the title "Hello World" and the content. This is my first post. So it's the create command. It talks to the database and inserts posts into my database. So for now, if we look at all the posts, we can see that we have one, which is the Hello World post, which is pretty neat. So the next layer up is the controller layer. So we can create a post controller. So we can, I'll do post controller.rb. And I happen to know that the post controller should descend from the application controller. So it should be, should I explain what descending means in terms of classes? I feel like that would be a useful thing. Or are you guys okay? Am I going too fast? Please, someone speak up.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah. Shall I go? I'll open up a whiteboard and explain some things.
Yeah, this is a good overview. It would be great if we could, at some point, kind of. I guess I don't know. I guess I don't want to speak for Daniel and Neil and Brent. Maybe we've been able to kind of. I mean, I think we're able to follow along, but it would be great if we could actually get this working on our own machines too, and we may need to go a little bit.
Yeah.
And you know, if we get this working here and then go back and get it working on each of our individual machines, you know, that would be okay too.
I think that's a good shout. I feel like if I go over it all first, so you guys kind of get the idea of what we're trying to do, and then we can go around everybody and try and get it working on everyone's. Does that sound like a good idea?
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Thanks, Nena.
Cool. So just in terms of model like class inheritance, this is about object-oriented programming. So if you have a class, which we'll call A, if something descends from A, then it means it has, and that means it's a child of A. It's like you use really weird terms. So we'll call this B. That means that B has all of the properties of A, and maybe some properties of its own. So it's like exactly like a copy of A, but you can add stuff to it. So if A has a property which is like its color is red, I don't know, then B will also have a color of red. But but then say we also specify that A's shape is a square. I'm just making up like different properties. It could be anything. Then we could specify that B's shape by default would be a square, but we could specify it's a triangle. And then that would mean that B is it's exactly like A, apart from the fact that we specified that its shape is a triangle. So that's sorry. So that's something you would have to do inside of B's code. That wouldn't just happen naturally. So if we put in this post controller, this has all of the properties of application controller. So it acts exactly like application controller, except we might define some new functions and new properties that it could have. And so it's a good way if you want to, like, if you have, I don't know, say a class for vehicles, then, but I don't know, you might for example, you might have a car class that descends from it, but you might also have a bike class. And so obviously you're going to want to do very different things with a car and with a bike. Like, I don't know, you might want to do, like you might have a function called pedal on your bike, but it makes absolutely no sense to have a function called pedal on the car. But they both might have a function called like inflate tires, because you can do both of those things you can do that kind of thing on all vehicles. And again, you might have a fill petrol function on a car, but then that makes no sense to have on a bike because you don't fill petrol on a bike. So that's kind of the point of model inheritance and why we with class inheritance and why we do use that, because it lets you simplify your code a lot rather than having to like rewrite inflate tire on every single vehicle. You can just write it for one vehicle, and then all of the other ones inherit those properties. But it also lets you have that kind of specificity between different classes. So you have, back to controllers, you have your post controller, and when you set up a controller, those kind of link to the pages in the view. So if I add some views as well, that'll be my posts. And Rails has a weird way of doing things with views as well. So it has, like, by default, it has 4 different views that you will have. You'll have your index, which should be like it's your like homepage, I guess. And you also, the other normal one that will probably be important to us is show.html. So this is the idea that you have a collection of posts. An index will list all of the posts, but show will just show, it will be a page for each individual post. So if I go ahead and make an index.html, and then every page on the view has to have a corresponding function in the posts controller, so that and those two kind of talk to each other. So if we say def index, this is how you define a function in Ruby. If you put the def, the name of the function, and then an end at the end. And then inside our post one, we could just have that say hello world. Okay, now there's one last thing we need to do in order to get that page to load onto our web browser, which would be back into, you remember I talked about the roots page? So first you have to say that there is a page inside post called index, and the second thing we have to say is we want that to be the root of the website. The root is in like the home page. So we could say root is posts, and then a hash, and then index. And now if we run that, we say Rails server, which sets up a Rails server. And we go to the home page, it's on 000. It's on that web address. That's not done it right, but it is on that web address. What have I not done? Oh, it needs you to run your migrations. You can't have undone migrations, it gets annoyed. That's not good.
Live demos are always.
I think it got annoyed that I had this create posts thing in there, which I think was automatically made when.
Yeah, I ended up with a second create post there too. I'm not sure what happened.
I think it's when I ran the Rails G model. I feel like.
Oh, it created one for your model.
Yeah, which I did not expect it to do, but apparently it did. Yeah, there we go. It's created one for the model. Go ahead and delete that if you've done that. That shouldn't be there. But and there we go. Hello world. And if we could change that to something else, so we could make it say like, these are all my posts. Then it would be like, these are all my posts. What if we want to put some Ruby code into that? Or do we want to get everyone to this point first before we try and do more things?
Yeah. I mean, basically, we don't even have really a model in the pipeline here yet. So this would be maybe a good idea to just get get like this controller and a view working, and then we can put a model in the middle.
Yeah. I think we can probably not even set up the model and database at the minute, right? We can probably just abandon that for now.
Yeah. I just saw Daniel's comment in the chat, which I guess was a couple minutes ago. But yeah, it's like inheritance in OOP. In fact, that's exactly what it is. It is inheritance. Yeah. In OOP, this is OOP, and that is inheritance. So that's good observation there, Daniel.
Yeah. So Neil or Daniel, who would like the ball first, so we can get this running on your computers? Neil says he doesn't mind, so Neil gets the ball.
No. Thank you, Neil.
I tried to follow along, but I did something and I don't know what I did. Anyway, might as well just share screen. Wait, so basically I tried to do something, but I don't know if I did it. So this is the one I deleted, so that's not there. But I think that looks right. No.
Go ahead and show me your terminal log. What have you done?
Terminal. I don't know why that came up, so that's why.
Oh.
He's in. I bet he's in SQLite mode or whatever. I got stuck there too. Control. Well, I guess on Linux it'd be Control D.
Control D.
Control D.
Oh, okay, yeah.
There you go.
So anyway, so I did that one, and then it did that, and then when it did, I think it was post new.
You need to do capital. No, you need to do capital P.
Yeah.
And then dot, and then new.
Oh, okay.
No, like capital post, like post. Sorry.
One moment. Post dot new.
Exactly. Yeah.
No.
Ooh. Okay. Type quit in lowercase letters, and then run rig db migrate. So rig space db : migrate. Okay, now do Rails C again.
Mm-hmm.
And then to run the same command, you can just press the up arrow. No, that should. Okay, no, maybe not. Yay! Okay, that's an empty post. We don't need to do anything. You can just press quit now.
What is Rails C? What is that?
Rails console.
Rails console. That's what it stands for. Okay.
Sorry, I use all the shortcuts for like everything, so let me know if I'm saying something that doesn't actually make sense.
By the way, should I delete these or
No,
not?
those are fine. You can just leave those.
Okay.
Rails will usually have a ton of gems, which is just pre-installed for you, and most of the time you're fine to just leave them there.
Okay.
So now try typing Rails space S. And then go to localhost port 3000 on your web browser of choice. Okay, so that page means that you haven't set up a root on your config.roots. If you can see on like what they've listed as step 2, you haven't done that yet. So
okay.
If you go ahead and look in your and go into config roots.
Mm-hmm.
Roots.rb. Yeah, there you are. Oh, that's weird. Have you saved that?
Yeah.
Have you go into your posts?
Okay. Okay. Go into posts. Okay. Yeah. There. Posts.
And views posts. And go into your post controller.rb. Okay, you need a function here called def, which is called index. So type def space index, and then press enter.
Oh, enter. Okay.
Yeah, and then type end. Yeah. So that's it's a completely empty function, but that tells Rails that Rails kind of thinks, oh, if there's a function called index in here, there must be a page called index which I should display. So if you just save that, then
do you have to reboot the Rails?
No, you should be okay. Then maybe, just maybe. Yay!
Okay, so that's fine.
So that's fine. So that means you've got your view is talking to your controller, and your controller is talking to the view, but they're not really talking to the model yet. But that's okay.
You said like on the email to use PostgreSQL.
Yeah, Postgres. So it's nice to have Postgres installed because it's better for like production. But you're okay for now. We'll just use the default database that comes with Rails, which is called SQLite 3. which is fine. It's not like you won't want to use it in production, but it's fine for now.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want to pass the ball over to
Yeah.
Daniel? Jacob says it'd be better not to use shortcuts for now. Ruby server instead of Ruby. Yes, yeah, that's fine. I will try and remember to use the words. So Daniel, do you want to go ahead and share your screen?
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, have you installed Rails or?
Well, that's what I'm actually doing, but I don't know what's going on.
Okay. If you open up the last email I sent out, that should have some instructions on it, I think.
Oh, I haven't seen that. Okay. I think I got it.
Okay, cool.
No, it's... no. I download this installer. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's literally what the instructions said, so you're fine.
Okay. Do I need to check any of these boxes?
I don't know. Maybe the bottom two were they ticked by default? Any of them?
It was by default. They were all unchecked.
All unchecked or all checked?
So
You probably don't need them, so it'll be okay.
okay.
Okay. If you go ahead into your terminal or command prompt, I don't know what they call it on Windows, PowerShell, is that a thing? And you type, I think I'm trying to remember the command that I'm looking for. Yeah, type the command ruby space dash and then V.
Ruby with capital letters or
No capital letters, all lowercase.
Ruby space
Then a
what?
dash and then V.
A V?
So I'll just put it in the chat like that.
Okay.
So that should. Oh, that's not good. Jacob, do you have any idea why Ruby isn't there?
No. Yeah, I can't say I've done this on Windows.
I feel like it might have been because we unchecked those things on the install, but then I feel like it's quite dangerous to just install again and hope it's going to work.
Oh, I didn't see. Yeah, there's. Does he need to add something to his? Does he need to add like an environment variable in order to use Ruby like that?
Maybe. I feel like that will have been.
Were there instructions on the site where you downloaded the installer? That would.
Yeah.
I think they should be, but the page didn't open. Okay, now it's all loading again.
think typically if you run the installer a second time, it'll detect that it's already installed and you can update your existing.
Should I try?
It wouldn't hurt, although I suspect you have to do something editing your environment.
There was an option on the installer which said add Ruby to your path, which we unchecked. I think.
Did you uncheck that? Oh yeah, you gotta have that checked. Sorry, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, I thought it might have been, but then I was like, it'll be fine.
But yeah, you gotta.
Okay.
Worst comes to worst, you can uninstall, reinstall, but I'll bet you can just run the installer again and it'll do an update. That's usually what, for a well-established thing like Ruby, I'll bet their installer does that. There's Ruby installer. See it?
Yeah.
So
That's it.
maybe check all three. Why not?
Yeah, definitely want to associate RB files, and I'm not sure what the TCL TK thing is, but why not? Again, it surely won't hurt anything. What this may be doing is just overriding your existing install, which is fine. And you may need to at least restart your command prompt. If not, unfortunately, it may require a.
Okay.
Yay! Okay, that command just tells you what version of Ruby you're using. Now head on. Are you okay with navigating your way around the command prompt? Are you cool with that?
Yeah.
You know how to get to different folders. Okay, find your way to a folder where you wouldn't mind having a new Rails project set up. So via the command prompt, preferably.
A folder where I want to make folder. So, I forgot how to do this. Okay. What's the... Where do you recommend me how to start?
I have a projects folder in my user folder, but you could seriously, if you want to keep it in documents, that's fine too, just anywhere.
Okay. I think should be good to. How can I? Okay. It's been a while since I used the.
Yeah, that's fine. It just takes a bit of getting used to.
So. Should make that. I don't know how to create a folder or so.
I'll type the command in. And then you type the folder name afterwards if you want to create a folder.
Okay, let's try.
Yeah, I would recommend putting it inside Daniel.DanielGB as opposed to and just in your users. Yeah.
And your folder name.
Mm-hmm.
This is good stuff to learn, or at least to get more familiar with.
Okay, if you...
I think in Windows it's dir, dir, to see everything in a folder.
Is that like your ls?
It's like ls in Unix based.
Okay.
And if you type dir, it'll be blank right now because this is an empty folder.
Cool. Yeah. So then if you type Rails new and then test website, I'll put that in the chat just so you can see with all the...
Does he have Rails?
It should have come with the Rails installer, right? No. Oh, did you just get a Ruby installer?
You just got a Ruby.
Okay, type that, and that might work.
Can you do gem install Rails? There you go. So you get a new gem. And it's doing something.
Hopefully something good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Allow access.
Okay. Okay.
I would have expected it to work a little more quickly there.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay, looks like there may be something else to install besides.
Let me just have a look if there are any. I feel maybe Bundler might be a... Can you...
We're going to cut truths a bit later.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Oh, what's come up? Oh, it just hung. That's very strange.
So it looks like there's another program that you will want to install besides just Ruby in order to get gems.
I'm trying to think of...
Called Development Kit.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah, it says here I'll post this link. If I can. It says one of the challenges many Ruby on Windows users have is how to easily use native Ruby gems. In fact, okay, so I have this on a. Let's see if I can. I'm on my tablet here, so it's not too easy for me to copy and paste a URL over. Just a second.
I think if you go back onto in the Ruby installers on the left sidebar, there's some development kit downloads.
Oh, is that right?
Like just scroll across to the side where you were. No, where you are, don't move pages, just scroll to the sidebar thing. And then down a touch and it should be there. Oh, wait. Like if, it's actually on Ruby installer / downloads, and then it's just on the left.
If there's something, if there's something from the Ruby installers page, other useful downloads.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, and you want, I think,
Oh, yep, that looks like it.
I think the bottom one, I think. They might be using Ruby 2.2, but it'll cope. She says, hopefully.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a big file. Mhm. Okay, so it's asking me where to start. I don't know.
Downloads is probably okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Getting the development environment set up is always the toughest part of these workshops.
Or for life in general.
It'll be development kit that you're searching for.
Laying the foundation is the most difficult and takes the longest time generally. The longest.
Oh, it might be called dev kit. They might have shortened it. I really don't know. Yeah, try dev kit all one word, like no dashes or anything.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, that looks like the right one. Yeah. Try it.
It's a installer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it will do the same thing.
Oh. Go into your downloads and we'll just search for it. I guess. I feel like that's the best way.
Sorry, I was muted. You need to give it a specific folder name when you extract it, because right now it's got it in a bunch of different folders scattered throughout your downloads folder. There's like you've got like a bin and a lib and a bunch of different.
Oh. Is it done that?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking.
Yeah.
All these things.
Yeah, like if you go in, yeah. So I don't know if those specifically were.
Okay.
I would, if I had to recommend a spot for this, I would put it under Daniel GV, yeah, and make a folder called, what is dev kit or something like that. You can right click that. You can right click that to rename it.
Okay.
Head out now. I'm really sorry. Am I okay to leave you guys to finish up installing this? Is that fine?
Well, this was a productive session, getting all this set up. So thank you, Nena.
Thanks. To be continued next week. We'll try. If David, if you can get Daniel, sorry, if you can get Rails installed, then I suppose next week we can get you up to the whole having a page which you can load the Hello World page and the posts model. Does that sound good?
Yep. Thanks, Nina.
Cool. No probs. See you next week.
Okay, have a good week, guys. Thanks for joining, Jacob. Brent, thank you.
Hi.
Did you record this by any chance? Brent, did you record this by any chance? Oh, fantastic. Because I know there are